we are with our May 27th edition of CityBiz. Can you believe it? May is already practically segueing into June. And I'm here, Melinda Arndt, with Michael Halley. We are doing our Zoom presentation for you, our CityBiz, at a safe distance, since we feel healthy, but we don't know if we might be carrying anything that we could pass along. So we're still doing this by Zoom, and glad you could join us. There's quite a bit to cover. You may or may not have seen that the rec center is in its phase 2 of opening. Michael, you want to start off telling us about that?
Sure thing. So phase 2 includes the indoor pool and the outdoor pool when it's open, for lap swimming and for water aerobics only. And also the main weight room is available in the Roosevelt Center, one customer at a time by appointment. So those are the main changes. The rest of the main facility is still open. Walking is allowed with 6-foot distance between people. One person per racquetball court, bring your own equipment. One person per basketball court, bring your own equipment. So you can't rent equipment. No locker rooms for storage, though the restrooms are obviously available. The drinking fountains that you drink from are not available, but the refilling of the bottles is available. So those are the restrictions. Still, I think the hours are still 8 to 5, Monday through Friday for now. And I'm not sure when those may be expanding. So limited hours, but it's a step towards reopening at least. So that's phase 2, which I believe has begun already.
Yes, I think that started after Memorial Day weekend. And I think in terms of like if you're going to do lap swimming, you just bring your gear bag and put it on a bench by the pool, or if you're using equipment, same thing, bring your gear. But it does allow, although we are still so lucky, that we can get out and walk and bike, but yeah, swimming, that is a good one. I think I saw some pictures posted of some people at the lake, which is still officially closed, but over the weekend, it was hot.
It was. Summer came a little early for the weekend, and yeah, it's hard to get people to stay away when that public beach is so enticing. I'm not sure what the plan is in terms of opening that. It is a swim at your own risk beach, so it's not as if there are lifeguards there. Not sure what the hold up there on opening that is. But hopefully some of the hot weather will subside. But I've seen the forecast next week, upper 80s again. So yeah, it would be nice to have that open. And I was reading a list of, basically at this point, as things reopen, it's really up to us as individuals to assess our own risk tolerance. And certain environments and certain activities are higher risk than others. Pools are considered especially low risk because the virus cannot survive in chlorinated water. So pools are low risk, but say a crowded indoor event would be considered very high risk in terms of potentially either getting or spreading the virus.
Yeah, so good points to keep in mind. As much as we'd like to just make this whole thing go away but we still have to, social distancing and wearing masks are still a good idea. So that's with the rec center opening. I don't know if I properly introduced Michael Halley, our esteemed city council person, but we just wanted to jump right in here. Tell us what's going on with fireworks.
All right, so last night at our council meeting, city administrator brought up the fact that we have to make a decision if we're going to hold our regular 4th of July fireworks. It was going to be most likely at the fairgrounds. Now, the Jefferson County Fair itself has been canceled for this year. And we're thinking July 4th is still too soon for such a crowded event. So the council decided to postpone the fireworks, not entirely cancel them. We are looking at potentially a later date in the summer to have the fireworks celebration if that would work out, but it will not take place on 4th of July this year. Again, just trying to err on the side of caution in terms of not creating an event where you'd have a lot of people in close proximity.
Yeah, it's unfortunate, but that's just how it has to happen um, to stay safe. But there was another year when I think rain or thunder showers or something, we had to keep
Yeah,
postponing and postponing, and
that
it
was
finally
20.
did.
Yeah,
When was
no,
that?
it was 2014. I
Yeah.
remember it well. So it was the city's 175th anniversary,
Yeah, yeah.
and we had a little extra funds, and so the fireworks were supposedly going to be even better than normal.
That's right.
So July 3rd was I think the 4th was a Friday, and so we didn't want to interfere with First Friday. So we were going to have the fireworks on the 5th, and it torrential downpour. I mean, just like a sheet of rain for the whole day. Even if it had stopped in time, the ground would have been way too wet the way they were launching them. This was been at Waterworks Park. So we missed the opportunity, and then the rain date got rained out. So that was a year without fireworks, not because of a global health pandemic, but just because of weather. So it does happen sometimes, but yeah, again, the city's just erring on the side of caution here, and wouldn't want to be responsible for somebody spreading or contracting COVID-19 and a city-sanctioned event.
Yep. So we've been flexible before. We can do it again.
Yep.
But it won't be the same. You have to grill your hot dogs at home.
Well, even though there wasn't the outdoor Memorial Day celebration, volunteers did come together. Fire Chief Scott Vaughn rallied volunteers to both put up and take down the flags on Central Park, and that was I got to help with that, and my son helped take down. We had 4 father-son teams help with taking them down on Monday, and it was just a great bonding moment. But that's just to show that there are people in town who are willing to put in the work to maintain certain traditions that are important to us. And even if we couldn't have an event on the square, they still had an event inside the Sondheim Center for Memorial Day, and still honor the holiday as it should be honored. So even though there's disruption, I'd say the human spirit in Fairfield is strong and is persevering.
It is indeed, and I love that tradition that the flag still went up. And in fact, if you got downtown, you could see them, but if you didn't, for some reason, because you're staying home, if you go, I guess on YouTube, Werner Elmker, W-E-R-N-E-R, Elmker, he's our local volunteer. He photographs and videos everything, and he made a lovely video and even denoted the early morning hour by playing, since he's also a pianist, that really early morning song from the Peer Gynt Suite. Anyway, showed all the flags going up.
So Werner rode his bike around Central Park to get a real smooth video of the flags. Technically, you're not supposed to ride your bike on Central Park, but we'll look the other way because Werner was doing it for the purpose of sharing the event. And just to note, Fairfield Media Center was part of that. Jason Strong was also on hand to film the flags being put up and make that video. So it was a collaboration. And like you said, for people who weren't able or willing to come outside to see them in person, it was a great tribute.
Well, thanks for cluing us in about the fireworks. We have a number of topics to cover, and some of them are kind of P's and Q's points, and some of them are project updates. It depends on what we want to cover first. P's and Q's points is about when you mow your lawn, if you're not bagging it and you let all your grass blow out onto the street, the safety factor of that. Michael?
Yeah. So no grass clippings in the street. It's a city law. And the reason is twofold. It creates a very slippery surface. So if anyone riding a bike or a motorcycle especially were to ride through, if the grass is wet, it's very unsafe. So for the sake of the safety of others, it's best not to put it out in the street. And then secondarily, it can clog up the storm water, where the rainwater goes into the stormwater system. And then you get a big backup, and our crews have to come in and back suck it out. And it's a lot of work. So most lawnmowers, I think they have a side where the grass clippings are pushed and there's a side where they're not. So you just point that away from the street as you're mowing near the street. And then you don't have to come back and sweep But I've seen the professionals who mow lawns. They all seem to be very good. They'll either use a broom or a leaf blower and come back after they're done and get all the grass clippings out off the street. So thank you for everyone who's doing it. And if you didn't know, now you know. But yeah, let's just leave those grass clippings off the street and the sidewalk for that matter, because it's the same issue. It can create a slippery surface for the sidewalk. And there are people in wheelchairs and such that may have trouble with that. So grass clippings, keep them in the yard.
There's our housekeeping point, which is our good neighbor point. But to help us all have a better experience in Fairfield as neighbors and residents, how about an update on the sanitary conveyance? No, step 2 sanitary.
Step 2, yep.
Yeah.
The sewer line, yeah. So it's about 25% done. And there's a video that Jason may be able to post here in post-production. We'll see.
Hello, everybody. We're out here in Neff Wetland, just neighboring Lamson Woods. And we have Stephen Pedrick here. He's an engineer with French Reniker and also the president of the Trails Council. And he's going to give us a little bit more information about the project that's going on here that is affecting us, because Neff Wetland is a county conservation area, but it has also closed down a section of the trail. So he's going to give us a little overview of the project and an update.
Okay, yeah. So we're right here, kind of smack in the middle of Neff Wetlands. The loop trail obviously goes through here, and the new sewer project has recently been installed. The sanitary sewer goes right along the edge of the dike at the Neff Wetlands. And as you might be aware, the sanitary sewer project is a result of some EPA compliance orders that the EPA has issued to the city because they've had too many sanitary sewer overflows of raw sewage just going directly into the creek. So the purpose of this project is to reduce those overflows and help the habitat in the area. So
yeah, one thing that you can tell, if you can hear the background, we've got frogs, there's geese in the background, I see turtles that are swimming across the wetland, and so it's awesome that this project has allowed the wetland to really do its job as they're still maintaining the area. So what does it look like as things get put back to normal?
yeah, so might not look very normal, but this is pretty close to back to normal already. So the sewer pipe has already been installed. It's passed all the pressure tests and all that it has to pass. So it's ready to accept the new sewer. It doesn't have any sewer in it yet. And most of the rough grading has been done. As you can see, we're standing here in the trail. You can kind of see that there's supposed to be a trail here. There's no rock on it yet, but the next step is to kind of get this fine grading finished. And then there'll be 6 inches of limey chips put back on top of the trail. And then the seeding has to be done out along the edges, obviously. And that'll be put back to a wetland grass seed mix. It's a DOT certified mix that has lots of wetland grasses, sedges, all kinds of stuff like that in it.
Cool. So we're really on the tail end of the project coming together in this area.
Yep.
And then how does that affect as you kind of keep hopping along to finish out the sewer project?
Right.
How does that affect other trails and parks?
So obviously the trail's closed here for the moment. The contractor is wanting to get this section seeded and open before the seeding period ends, which I think is the end of June for the wetland grasses. I say the end of June, that's like the drop deadline for the seeding. They've told us that they want to get this thing opened in 2 weeks, so we'll see kind of what happens there. Whether the rain will always kind of throw a monkey wrench in things. I was out here a week ago and this was totally dry, there was no water here, so it's what was it? I got about 2 inches in my rain gauge the other day.
Yeah.
It really piles up. So once they get this open, then they're going to be moving to near Parkview at Chautauqua Park. And at that point, at the time this opens, that section of trail from Chautauqua Park to the bridge over the BN will be closed then. So it's part of the contract that they can only have one of these two sections closed at any time. So this will be opened up before they can close that section. So.
Perfect. Awesome. So it sounds like they're well on their way to getting the trail back, and we've had a lot of people call and ask or email and ask what the progress is. So we want to thank Steve for coming out and giving us an update on that. Maybe next time we'll be on a trail riding our bikes or something fun.
So I know a lot of people really like that section, so it should be reopening in June. And then the next section will close, and so on and so forth.
Well, the trails are glorious to step out onto or to ride your bike. And the scavenger hunt is going forward. It's happening. It's on. If you like to get out on the trails, you can stop and pick up the information. What is it called? The not a passport. They aren't doing punch passes this year, so multiple people aren't going to be handling the punch pass. You just make a note. Anyway, if you stop by the bike shop, now called The Ride, or if you stop by the rec center, I'm not sure if the campus rec center is open. They were also going to have those.
I don't think they're open to the general public. I think it's
not just, So if you want to get your scavenger hunt punch cards, stop by the bike shop during regular hours. Also at the trailhead kiosks, you can pick one up. Now, I was out on the trails. I forgot to look at the kiosk and pick one up, but I plan to get out there and look around if that's your thing. But if you want to get out on the trails, that's an enticing thing to do, and look for the clues and finish those up.
But the project is moving forward. The boring under Burlington and I don't know why I'm drawing it.
Pleasant Plain. Yeah,
Pleasant
that
Plain.
one I've seen. I've been out that road. Yeah.
So the boring underneath both those streets is done, and so that allows the pipe to obviously go underground. So a lot of progress is being made. I think there are 2 or 3 crews working simultaneously.
But we have something more on the list that you sent me that came up through the city council, the Burlington and 9th pedestrian improvements.
Yeah. So in 2014, the city applied for and won a grant from the Wellmark Foundation to extend the sidewalk on Jefferson Avenue to connect 6th Street with 9th Street. And so what that does is allows people to walk from pretty much the entire south half of the town, south of Burlington, can now walk via sidewalk from their homes to the rec center, because we were just about to open the new indoor pool. And so that was a wonderful project, and 90% of it was covered by the grant. The following year, we applied for a grant to upgrade the pedestrian crossings at 9th and Burlington. So if you're familiar with that, that's where Family Video is. 9th does not align, so you've got this kind of misaligned 9th Street intersection, and currently the pedestrian crosswalk is diagonal. So it goes between every possible issue, like where the vehicles have to cross. They're putting the pedestrians right in that. Not the greatest design, but it's just the way it's been done. And so I worked with city engineer Melinda Carlson on an upgrade plan. It was actually based on the this must have been 2015, because I think in 2015 was when we did the community visioning program, and they made a design, would move the crosswalks on Burlington to, instead of diagonally across the whole thing, right in front of where the vehicles stop. And that is the safest place for pedestrians to cross, is right this place where the vehicles stop, because it's maximum visibility. Pedestrians see drivers, drivers see pedestrians. It's actually a shorter distance for them to travel to get across the street. And we applied for another Wellmark Foundation grant and didn't get it. It was disappointing. And very sadly, soon after, there was a pedestrian who was struck and killed by a vehicle at that intersection. That's terrible and tragic. What it did was it raised the the not safety rating of the crossing in terms of the Department of Transportation keeps statistics. So we were able to apply for a Department of Transportation grant And the reason we need the grant funds is, the city doesn't have unlimited funds for these kind of projects. So the grant really makes it possible. We applied for and won a Department of Transportation grant. And now we're moving forward on that. So it'll be new high visibility crosswalks on Burlington and new pedestrian buttons, so they can push the button to get the light to change. And we're really hoping and expecting that this will increase the safety of people crossing there. Some people ask, why not use the underground tunnel that's a little bit west of that intersection that actually goes under Burlington? That tunnel is no longer structurally sound. It's hasn't been for quite a while. And the cost to try to get that thing, you basically have to dig it out and re-pour the foundation, re-pour the walls. So that's just too cost prohibitive. And a lot of people didn't feel safe using it. You have to go down these stairs into this kind of unlit tunnel, and it was kind of becoming a attractive nuisance, as they say, a place where people could go and do things maybe they shouldn't be doing. So that is closed and probably will be filled in at some point. So what we're doing is at grade, meaning at the same level of the street, pedestrian improvements, and covered by majority through this grant. Should be seeing that work start this summer. Now it'll go still open 2 lanes of traffic, but maybe 1 lane at a time will be closed, and the middle turn lane will act as the lane the other direction. So expect a little funkiness over there for that period of time, but it'll be well worth it to have a safer pedestrian experience there.
I've been keeping an eye on, and I've seen a little bit. I can't really tell what's happening with the Petra Park when I'm riding my bike downtown. It looks like some things are getting moved around there, but.
Yeah. So just to back up a little bit, this is still a private project. We talk about it here at CityBiz because when it's finished, it's going to be donated to the city as a park.
Okay.
But currently it is not a city project. So I'm just saying that so that people are saying, why is it taking so long? It's not anything the city can do. We're partners in it in a sense, but not even really, because the city's not spending any funds on it. We're partners in that we will take ownership of the park when it's done. So the update is that the crew did not want to work this early spring. The private contracting crew that the owner of the park is working with, because of the COVID-19 issues, didn't want their crews out on site, and that was their decision. Now they're feeling more comfortable, so they're intending to bring their crew on site first week of June, and they've been building a lot of things in their warehouse that they'll bring on site pre-built. So we should see some actions, and they're going to start working on the water and electric utilities on site. It would be really wonderful to have that right now, because the downtown restaurants could use it as places for their patrons to eat. But again, it's not anything that the city can push to make happen sooner than it's happening. So hopefully we'll see that open sometime this summer. Would be wonderful. But yeah, there'll be some movement. You'll see some activity. But again, it's pretty much in the hands of the private owner who's developing it for the city to take ownership.
Well, so they're going at a pace that works for them, and the fact that they're building a lot of stuff off-site means that when those things arrive, it will look so transformed, like almost overnight.
But it's going to have a long harvest table, and then a bunch of smaller chairs and tables and benches and a pergola and a little art thing in the middle. And the trees are on the back side already. That's going to be trees and grass area on the west side. So it's really going to be a nice addition to our downtown, and obviously a place where people could get takeout food and then come over and eat it. So yeah, it's going to be really wonderful. And thank you to the owner for the generosity, and looking forward to using it when it's available.
Speaking of takeout food, at least that's a segue in my brain. We have been doing that periodically, trying to support some of the local restaurants, especially the downtown ones. And I've been enjoying seeing the banners showing all the graduating seniors. I thought whoever had that idea, that's pretty cool. So if you happen to be walking or driving or riding your bike downtown, all around the square and for like a block extending in either direction, they've got all these banners up with pictures of all the seniors who are graduating, but who are having a very unusual graduation season. Although I do understand there'll be a parade, maybe just a car parade of seniors on June 6th.
Car parade, and then seniors can sit on trailer beds 6 feet apart.
Oh, neat.
So they can be on, out there. But yeah, that was organized. I know Josie Hannes Design Studios was a big organizer, and there were funds that were raised to do those banners. But that segues into the downtown lighting project is nearly complete. And so the new lights have replaced all of the old green brontosaurus dinosaur lights. Those are a thing of the past. They did their duty. So they can now rest. They can now rust in peace somewhere else. All right, I'm on a roll today. They were rusting, and that's actually part of the reason they needed to be replaced. They're getting to the point where they were dangerous. So new lights, the more decorative ones, match very closely with the ones that were installed as part of the streetscape project from Great Places 2006-ish. And the others, like I said, I tried to describe them. I couldn't really find the words. I just said more modern. I think that's pretty apt description. They're just kind of a basic LED street light, but super energy efficient, very bright. And that has been a problem because some of the ones downtown, they are taller than the other ones that are downtown. And the reason is they only have the one light illuminating both the street and the sidewalk. The ones that were put in is, for the Great Places streetscape had one light for the street and another smaller one that goes over the sidewalk. That design wasn't available, so we weren't able to get that. So what that does is it is shining into second floor windows, and people living there aren't feeling, aren't liking it, having that much light coming in. So as part of the final checklist for the whole project, the installers are going to go and tilt the lights toward the street as much as the tolerance allows them to, so they're not illuminating the buildings as much. But you can drive and see it at night. You can see that these lights are lighting up the buildings all the way up to the second floor, and they're very bright. I mean, it's a much brighter experience downtown, which was the goal of the project, to increase people's sense of safety and visibility at night. But I don't think anyone expected the second floor to be as illuminated as it's been. So anybody living there, just know that the crews will try to tilt those lights, point them a little bit more towards the street, but there's only so much tolerance that they have. They don't bend entirely, but we're trying to remedy that a little bit.
Good to know. Although it's also good to know downtown can be a safer, more well-lit place.
Yep.
Does that bring us to wrapping up our CityBiz?
I think it does.
For the end of May, as we sort of coast. We had all that cooler weather, and now it looks like we're headed into the more summery temps, although, hey, we're used to it. It changes every so often, so we could get a little bit of cooler weather yet, but it'll be nice to know that the pool has opened back up, the indoor pool, and hopefully soon the outdoor pool as well.
Yep. And like you said, shout out to graduating seniors. Congratulations. You are the first graduating senior class in anyone's living memory to not get a regular graduation ceremony.
Yeah.
I know that's not something to be proud of, but I think the community has shown our love for you with the banners and the parade. And I know that some schools have put up little yard signs, really trying to celebrate our seniors because your last year of high school was disrupted in such an odd way.
Yeah.
It's not what anybody would have wanted for you, but congratulations on getting ready for the next chapter of your lives.
Definitely. I want to echo that. And yes, shout out to those yard signs that I see when I'm biking or walking in my neighborhood. I got a couple of them up. So where seniors live there, they're getting applauded, and I applaud you too. We all, we all just keep taking it a day at a time, but you will be the ones stepping out into this. Is it a new normal? It's always going to be new when you graduate.
Yep.
You will help create whatever it is that we all get to experience. And we're all doing that together. Thanks for joining us on CityBiz. Thanks to our dedicated City Council meeting, going through all the issues, all the things that we don't talk about, like the annual licensing and all these kinds of things that are maybe not as juicy to speak out in CityBiz, but
Yeah.
thanks for covering all those things and serving us all this time. And shout out thanks to Jason Strong, Fairfield Media Center, for bringing you CityBiz.
See you next
See you
time.
next month.